Good evening and a warm welcome to the news at 7 on NTA International. I am Ifoma Ojinta. But first, the highlights. Federal government reaffirms support to the private sector to create job opportunities for teeming unemployed Nigerians. Legislation on internally displaced persons underway as NEMA and International Organization for Migration reinforce partnership. And as policy on occupational safety in the workplace in Nigeria is validated, government explores public-private partnership as key tool to close funding gap on infrastructure development. And now the news in details. President Muhammadu Buhari reaffirms commitment of the federal government towards supporting the private sector to flourish and create job opportunities for teeming unemployed Nigerians in the country. He gave the assurance while receiving in audience executive members of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. The president described the consultative approach adopted by his administration on the continental free trade area as an example of Nigeria's desire for sustainable and inclusive growth. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu has the details.
Officials of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry were at the seat of government to formally appreciate President Muhammadu Buhari for signing the Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, which they believe will promote economic integration and growth of member countries.
We look forward to speedy execution of programs and projects that will create an enabling environment to enhance the competitiveness of Nigeria businesses within the context of the AFCFTA.
The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry made a case for the president to assent to some other critical pending bills passed by the National Assembly, including the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill towards enhancing investment growth and creating more jobs.
There are many abandoned federal government properties in Lagos, many of which are being occupied by miscreants and posing security risks. We urge that steps be taken to ensure rehabilitation or leasing of these properties. We commend your intervention to resolve the traffic gridlock around the Lagos ports in Apapa. We urge you to please sustain your interest in this matter to ensure that it is fully resolved.
The officials formally invited the president to attend their 2019 Presidential Policy Dialogue session to enable his administration share perspectives with the private sector on how to strengthen the national economic gains in post-recession era. President Muhammadu Buhari noted with delight that in the last 4 years, his administration invested heavily in infrastructure, supported development banks to provide loans to traders and small entrepreneurs, and signed executive orders to enhance the local content policy as well as ease of doing business to facilitate investment.
Thankfully, there was alignment with the monetary authorities, and this significantly contributed to the successes we are seeing today.
And with intra-African trade accounting for only 14% of Africa's total trade, the president believes that the Continental Free Trade Area Agreement is both an opportunity as well as a threat.
It is an opportunity as Nigerian manufacturers can aggressively expand to meet the huge demand across the continent. It is a threat as one can abuse the rules of origin to flood the market with imports from outside the continent, thereby destroying jobs here at home. Nigeria's engagement in the next phase of the negotiations is to ensure proper safeguards are put in place to support African manufacturers. We shall continue to count on your support to ensure this goal is achieved.
Promising to review proposals made for possible consideration, President Buhari assured his guests that the federal government will continue to do its very best, working with the Lagos state government towards finding lasting solutions to the Apapa gridlock in Lagos. He described as saddening that businesses have had to suffer as a result of the challenge. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
The federal government has promised to decisively and severely deal with all those found perpetrating criminal activities across the country, as well as inciting violence for political ends, describing them as evil Nigerians. President Muhammadu Buhari, who said this while engaging traditional rulers from the southwest, announced far-reaching measures towards setting the country on the path of peace and prosperity. State House correspondent again Adamu Sambo completes the report.
We owe our children, the most vulnerable citizens in our society, a life free of violence and fear.
President Muhammadu Buhari summoned this meeting with the KBACs on national security as a follow-up to the feedback and observations being received from the ongoing consultations embarked upon by the Vice President in the Southwest. The intention is for the government and the royal fathers, who form a critical part of governance structure in their respective communities, to jointly profile solutions to the lingering security problems in the region.
As a government, at all times, we need your active collaboration as we continue to deal with crimes of kidnapping, banditry, and other forms of unlawful criminal attacks, resulting in needless deaths and causing fear among our people. This administration will continue to do everything necessary to protect the lives of all Nigerians and ensure that every Nigerian in every state is safe, and that our people can live in peace and harmony, regardless of ethnicity, religion, or region.
President Buhari, who stated clearly the firm resolve of his administration to change the security architecture of Nigeria, promised equipping the police with advanced technology, approved licensing for the use of drones to monitor criminal hideouts, install CCTVs at strategic locations, and deploy troops as well as Air Force assets when needed to complement the police in fighting criminality. The president believes that with speedy implementation of community policing and the traditional rulers effectively monitoring and observing new entrants into their areas of jurisdiction, intelligence can be more effectively collected for necessary action towards achieving the objectives.
I want to assure you and the entire nation that we will enforce the law, prosecute the lawbreakers, and secure an atmosphere of tranquility for all Nigerians wherever they choose to live, and also protect our communities from all forms of crimes. This is both in our interest as an administration and the interests of the people who voted us into office. We need security to deliver on our many programs to the people. There can be no prosperity if there is no security. This is not only a message of hope, but a call to action to all of us as we seek ways to secure our country.
In all of the consultations that we've had so far, what I have, of course, taken away is how willing the royal fathers are to work with the government to resolve most of these security problems as they have arisen.
Oni of Ife and co-chairman of the National Council of Traditional Rulers of Nigeria, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi, led the Southwest monarchs to the engagement with the president.
It's a very fruitful, interactive session. It's not the normal, let's talk the talk. We are talking the walk, and we are going to walk the talk, because we traditional rulers, we know our people. We know the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's the reason why government is taking it to another level by involving us directly on how to implement all their initiatives. So far, so good. We are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
Although the dynamics for safeguarding national security keep changing, participants at the meeting are hopeful that with effective intelligence sharing as well as the adoption of modern technological and people-centered methods, Nigeria can be policed more effectively and restored on the path of peace and prosperity. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari continued to defend his election for the second day running before the Presidential Election Petition Court. The court admitted in evidence all the documents at the opening of the defense. Dele Atumbi reports.
Muhammadu Buhari, through his lead counsel, Wale Olanipekun, SAN, while opening his defense, tendered several documents, including the certified true copy of his school leaving certificate obtained from the Katsina Provincial Secondary School in 1961. A witness, Oshidende Adewumi, testified that President Buhari had 5 credits, including oral English, in his secondary school certificate. Oshidende Adewumi is a deputy registrar with the West African Examinations Council who certified the copy of the statement of result containing the results of 18 candidates that sat for the examination in 1961 at the Katsina Provincial Secondary School. During cross-examination, counsel to Atiku Livi Usoku, SAN raised the issue of the differences between Muhammad and Muhammad, an issue which Muhammad Abba dispelled and affirmed that there was no striking difference between the two. 2 other witnesses, Mohammed Kwatu from Niger State and Usman Dogana from Nasarawa State, who were APC agents at the ward level, told the court that the presidential election was conducted peacefully in the 2 states. They equally testified that smart card reader was used for the accreditation of voters. During cross-examinations, counsel to INEC Usman Ustaz SAN, Livi Uzogu SAN, counsel to the petitioners, and Latif Fagbemi SAN, counsel to the APC, the witness sustained their claims as disposed to in their statements. President Muhammadu Buhari, apart from this Wednesday, asked 4 more days to defend his victory in the presidential election conducted on February 23, 2019. In this case, the PDP and its candidate Atiku Abubakar are challenging the victory of President Muhammadu Buhari in 11 states of the Northeast, Northwest, and North Central geopolitical zones of the country. So far, President Muhammadu Buhari has called 7 witnesses in the defense of his victory in the election. The matter has been adjourned to Thursday, 1st August 2019. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
In line with the federal government's commitment to the safety of lives and property, the Federal Fire Service has taken delivery of 12 out of the 42 firefighting trucks approved by President Muhammadu Buhari. Doyin Dia reports that the equipment, which will be deployed to the 6 zonal centers, is to boost efficiency and prompt emergency response.
Fire disaster is one of the critical and most rampant emergency situations which often render victims helpless. Most worrisome of such incidents is the delayed response resulting from obsolete facilities being used by responding agency, concerned by the neglect of the Federal Fire Service by past administrations. President Muhammadu Buhari, upon his inauguration in 2015, pledged to see to the worrying needs of the Federal Fire Service, a result of which is the commissioning of this world-class equipment.
And provide protection of critical assets than was done ever before this administration came into being.
The best chemical that they use on this truck is called the F500 encapsulator. These are one of the best trucks you can think of to have, whether locally or internationally.
At the zonal and state level, we continue to increase to be a modern, fast and responsive service.
And we've entered into contract agreement with the supplier for a 2 years warranty maintenance period.
With huge investments being made in the emergency sector by the federal government, dignitaries at the unveiling stressed the need for Nigerians to take ownership of public infrastructure and condemn those who engage in destroying such public facilities.
A simulation exercise by men of the Nigeria Federal Fire Service just to demonstrate their capacity to man this firefighting equipment. In Abuja, Doyin Dia, NTA News.
Still on safety issues, a policy that will ensure occupational safety in the workplace in the Federal Civil Service has been validated. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday reports that the implementation of the policy will boost the morale of workers for greater commitment to work by public servants.
To reposition the civil service to make it a more efficient, productive, incorruptible, and citizen-centered one. The document will no doubt constitute a veritable tool to move occupational safety and health and well-being of public servants to the next level.
If you play politics with things like this, you will go nowhere. And if you play politics with this, then indeed I would think all these hours we spend here will be wasted.
The need for employers of labor to place welfare of their workers for maximum benefits from the Compensation Act 2010 is another area that is now on the radar. You're watching the news on NTA International. Let's take a break now. The news continues shortly. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. Now, legislation on internally displaced persons is underway at the National Assembly. Speaker House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila announced this when he visited Gubio IDP camp as part of a one-day official engagement in Borno State. Mohammed Goni reports.
Femi Gbajabiamila, who presented trucks of rice for upkeep of the IDPs, commiserated with them over their plight, assuring them of collaborative efforts on the part of all arms and levels of government to end the insurgency.
All I can say to you is to keep hope alive. Government will do whatever it needs to do to make sure that whatever you are going through now, in very not too distant future, will be a thing of the past.
Governor Babagana Umara appreciated the House of Representatives for the support and further reassured the IDPs of government's commitment to return them home to enable them pick up the pieces of their lives. While at the government house, the speaker said the National Assembly takes the issue of security with all seriousness, hence the assessment visit on security situation in Borno, as well as the condition of IDPs with a view to ending the decade-long crisis. He appreciated the efforts of both the federal and the state government in the Northeast geared towards addressing the challenges, adding, however, that a lot needs to be done in that direction. Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umara, who appreciated the speaker for the visit and the continued support, appealed to the federal government to increase the numerical strength of the military and other security operatives in the state.
The other areas of our needs is the issue of access road. Right now, all the federal roads in Borno State are under dilapidated conditions.
Other demands made by the governor include more support to the IDPs and to the resettlement process, and further appreciated the National Assembly for passing the Northeast Development Commission Bill into law. Meanwhile, the speaker has paid a courtesy call on the Shehu of Borno, Alhaji Abubakar Ibn Umar Garba El Kanemi, where he enjoined the Shehu to participate in the planned roundtable bill to be convened by the House of Representatives to address the security challenges. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Skoni, NTA News.
For trending reports in the financial sector, let's join Rachel Schwaibu for business news.
Hello and a warm welcome to Business News. The Central Bank of Nigeria has injected $210 million into the interbank foreign exchange market. The bank's Director Corporate Communications Department, Isaac Okorafor, disclosed that authorized dealers in the wholesale sector of the market received $100 million, while the small and medium enterprises and the invisible segments were allocated $55 million each. Meanwhile, Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation says it is unnecessary for it to pay the 60% lease renewal fees, which is its equity contribution in the oil mining leases 67, 68, and 70. This was while responding to the alleged shortfall in payment of lease renewal fees on the oil mining leases. NNPC says it paid $600 million, which was its equity contribution of 40% to the joint venture agreement. In the meantime, Nigerian Communications Commission says Nigeria's mobile network operators lost over 300 million active internet users in June 2019. Data released by the Commission shows that the number of active internet users dropped to 122.29 million as of the end of June 2019. However, this is far below the growth attained by operators in May, in which the network providers added 3.11 million new internet users on mobile devices. Many thanks for your time. I am Rachel Shaibu.
Thank you, Rachel. And Adebola Brooklyn Sunday is standing by with trending stories from other parts of the globe.
Officials in the Democratic Republic of Congo say the person confirmed as the second case of Ebola in the city of Goma died. The announcement was made Wednesday, a day after the latest case was revealed. More than 2,500 cases of Ebola have been reported since the outbreak began in August 2018, out of which nearly 1,670 of them died. In another development, Israel has approved the construction of 6,000 new homes for Jewish settlers and 700 homes for Palestinians in the occupied West Bank. The decision about the new homes in settlements, observers say, further extend the Israeli presence in the West Bank. It is not clear whether the Palestinian homes will be new constructions or merely legal approval for 700 already existing homes in what is known as Area C of the West Bank, where Palestinians' villages often lie close to Israeli settlements and where Israel has full control of the territory. And 10 Democratic presidential hopefuls clashed in a televised U.S. debate that laid bare the party's deep divisions over how best to win in 2020. Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, the most liberal candidates in the crowded field, came under attack from their more moderate colleagues. The 3 women and 7 men on stage in Michigan debated health care, border policy, and how to defeat Donald Trump. The winner of the Democratic presidential nomination will be announced next July.
President Muhammadu Buhari commenced the appointment of United Kingdom-born Nigeria Olukemi Olufunto Badenoch as Minister of Children and Families by the new British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. He describes her appointment as well-deserved, with a charge on her to regard her new position as an opportunity to justify the confidence reposed in her. President Buhari says he has no doubt that she would succeed given her academic qualifications and parliamentary experience, and enjoined her to see herself as an ambassador of her fatherland in conduct and performance. In a statement signed by Garba Shehu, Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity, President Buhari says her appointment is a plus for Nigerians in diaspora and further confirms his belief that with hard work and integrity, Nigerians can excel in their chosen profession and fields of endeavor anywhere in the world. And talking sports now, Team Nigeria